Will the Miami Hurricanes be pursuing a quarterback in the transfer portal? Mario Cristobal was asked that question this morning.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, if there is such a thing, and happy holidays. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. On this loaded episode of Locked On Canes, we're going to talk about some honors being handed out to incoming freshmen Miami Hurricanes signees. I think this recruiting class might be better than some of you thought. We're going to talk about whether or not the transfer portal and NIL are ruining college football. We will talk about Miami's transfer class. It's small, but it's quality so far. There's going to be more added to that. We're going to talk about what Mario Cristobal had to say this morning. He was asked a number of things Monday morning on the Joe Rose Show, including the question about going after quarterbacks. But I know it's not Tuesday, but again, since tomorrow's Christmas Eve, I don't know what my plans are going to be for doing shows. So we wanted to bring Bruce Warner, the truth teller, on a Truth Teller Monday. Now, Bruce, before we get to what Mario said, what do you think is going to happen with quarterbacks? Do you think Miami's going to go after a big name? Do you think they go after maybe another Poffenbarger type to add a veteran backup? Do you think they stick with 3 scholarship quarterbacks? What do you think they should do?
I think they need to get a solid backup like a Poffenbarger. They're not going to get a starting type of guy. I don't think there's anybody they want at this point. And I also don't think they want Emory Williams looking over his shoulder all the time. I don't think that's fair to this kid. They're going to give him a shot. He deserves a shot. You know, he's a redshirt sophomore, but he's been here 2 years in the system. Yeah. You got to go with him. You don't have any experience behind him, so I think you've got to get somebody that knows darn well they're going to be on the bench and his backup. And they're going to have to compete, obviously, with either Judd Anderson, who is here, or if they're going to compete with the kid coming in from Georgia. You know, again, my memory is just
Luke Nickel.
Yeah, Luke Nickel. Sorry about that, guys, but I haven't had my MRI yet. So I think that's what Mario's going to do. He's going to play it safe. They need to get some other bodies in there before they get a quarterback. They're going to roll with him. And I don't blame them. I'm excited about it. I really am. I mean, I loved what he did 2 years ago. Beats Clemson. Yeah, it was not a 400-yard passing day, but he beats Clemson with poise. And he goes to Tallahassee and almost beats the Noles. It was 27-20 was the final. And he showed a lot of guts and a lot of moxie in that game. So let's see what he's learned in the year and a half, almost 2 years. It'll be almost 2 years when he actually starts next year in the first game. So that's where I think he needs to go. And I think we said this like the last 2 weeks. Mario's got to fix that defense. He's working on the DBs. Oh, yeah. He's got a few. He got one D lineman in, the kid from Louisiana Tech. But I don't think they're done yet. I think they have a long way to go.
Yeah, and they're excited about David Blay as the defensive tackle from Louisiana Tech. 6.5 sacks last year. He's explosive. A lot of big-time programs wanted him. We're excited about Charles Brantley, the defensive back that Miami signed over the weekend. But a couple things on Emory Williams and the quarterback situation. Before I give you what Mario Cristobal had to say about whether or not they're going after quarterbacks, let me give you, Bruce, a quote from Mark Fletcher, courtesy of Cane Sport. So he said, seeing Cam first, he talked about Ward playing in the bowl game. Let me skip to what he said about Emory Williams. He says, I have 10 out of 10 confidence in Emory, Mark Fletcher said. He put his whole body on the line for us. That just shows the heart he has for us and the type of player he is. So I am all in with Emory Williams. That's from one of the leaders.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I bet you can't agree more.
I can't. And another thing, Bruce, like I don't think he would mind me sharing this, but Cam Ward's father, Calvin, reached out to me, and Calvin Ward told me that, he and Cam Ward have full confidence in Emory Williams. And he told me that they first of all, Emory has been, making big time throws in practice consistently. Now, I know, all the fans who have their opinions on Emory, you guys are not watching practices. I haven't been able to watch a practice since fall camp because they're not open to the media, but Cam Ward's family, they get access to practices. And he also mentioned to me that, John Mateer used to say the same thing to Cam Ward when he was under him at Washington State. He used to tell Ward, I learned more from you than I even learned from our coaches. And that's probably the same can be said for Emory Williams. So, those are some good votes of confidence there from the Cam Ward family and from Mark Fletcher. And Bruce, would you like to know what Mario Cristobal had to say when Joe Rose asked him this morning on WQAM if they're going to go after another quarterback?
Absolutely. What did Mario say?
All right, so Mario said, we won't discuss what we're doing. We won't be putting our business out there. We feel great about our roster, and we're going to make the moves that are the best for the University of Miami football team. It's one of those things. Joe has to ask him the question, even though Joe probably knew he was not going to get a detailed answer like Mario.
Of course not.
Well, Joe, here's our big board. Here's which quarterbacks we're looking at and which ones we're not. So, the question had to be asked, but Mario will not discuss those plans publicly.
Yeah, well, I get it. And he won't. And he doesn't discuss injuries either. So if you're saying as a journalist he has to ask, that's fine. But the answer was, I'm not talking about it. Yeah. And he's not, because he doesn't want to tip anybody off. He doesn't want anybody upset. But I think I'm right. I don't think they're going after a starter. I think they're going after a guy that could plug and play, who's got some experience under his belt. And they got to continue to work on whatever areas they need. Another receiver. I'd love to get Concepcion. Oh, my goodness. Wow, is he great. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but he might be better than Restrepo, except Restrepo has longevity. He was here 4 years, and he was a target constantly from his former roommate. But I think he's very similar, probably faster. So, and he's dangerous anywhere in the field. We saw him last year. That kid is really good. He's a difficult cover. He always finds, like X. He finds spots in the seams of the defense, and he's just standing there, catches the ball, and takes off. So, yeah, one of the things that I continue to want to harp on, and I'll harp on it until we play next year, is the development of these last 2-year recruits and now this year's recruits, who's ever coming in early pretty soon, like another week or 2 or 3. The development of these guys and the continued upward development of these guys is so important right now. That and getting better from recovery from injuries. I'd like to think that they're going to move Bain inside. I think we'll find out about that pretty soon. And we have to find out whether Messidor is coming back, because if he's back, he's got to move to the outside. I don't think he's coming back unless they promise him that he's going to be playing on the outside. And I think they'd be foolish to let him do anything but play on the outside. He's better than Tyler Barron, who had a great start and he just fizzled out. He's got good moves. He's quick off the ball. He's tenacious, this kid. I hope he gets back, and I hope he comes back and plays D end. I really do. And move somebody else to take Bain's spot, unless Bain switches with him.
Yeah, no, and there's some younger players people ask me about all the time, like Armando Blunt is one we don't talk about probably enough. We talk a lot about Justin Scott, who I think could be ready to take on a big time role, but we don't talk as much about Armando Blunt. I think he seems to be developing nicely. And another one, Artavius Jones. Hopefully we'll see more of him, because we didn't really see him this year as a true freshman. So these are some other young guys on that defensive line.
Moten's going to be in that mix for sure.
Oh yeah.
He looked 1,000 times better this year than the year last year. He was just at the line of scrimmage, and he was just hand fighting with the offensive lineman. This year, he was in the backfield a lot. And even if he doesn't make the play, even if he overruns the play, but he disrupts the quarterback's timing and whatever, that's important. And I told you that. And when Mark was here, he said the same thing. You've got to get in the backfield and cause problems. They just can't take 3-4 step drops and get rid of the ball with no pressure whatsoever. That's why these guys are so important in busting it up and forcing these quarterbacks. Look at the games we lost. The quarterbacks, for the most part, stood in the pocket, especially the Syracuse game, and just picked us apart. Can't have that.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. Well, there's a lot more I want to get to on this episode of Locked On Canes, including I know, Bruce, you've got strong feelings, and I want to talk about it on the other side about just how this transfer portal it's really changing college football. And there's obviously good and bad. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sit here and completely bash a transfer portal that allowed Miami to bring in Cam Ward last year and provide one of the most exciting seasons ever. But the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. And also, I want to say one more thing when we come back about quarterbacks, because Miami has been linked by, and nothing so concrete, but there's been a lot of speculation about Miami going after Fernando Mendoza, starting quarterback from Cal, who's in the transfer portal. There was a significant update this morning on Fernando Mendoza's future, so Miami fans are going to want to hear this. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. We're only getting started with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, the NFL playoffs are going to be here before you know it. The college football playoffs are already here, and it's not too late to get in on the NFL regular season, guys, because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins on FanDuel. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score. It truly is thrilling. And the Hurricanes, by the way, are favored for this weekend's bowl game coming up against Iowa State, the Pop Tarts Bowl. Miami is favored by 3 points. Not only on FanDuel can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. For your next listen, make sure you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs and I take you around the conference, talking a lot of college football playoffs these days. Unfortunately, SMU got almost mercy ruled by Penn State. Clemson was kind of competitive against Texas, but they didn't win the football game. We'll be talking about all of that stuff. But Bruce, I want to talk here about Fernando Mendoza for a second, because there's been a lot of media members have been kind of trying to link Mendoza to Miami, and I understand he's, of course, a South Florida kid, Miami Columbus grad. His family knows Mario Cristobal's family, so logically, I can see why people would tie him to Miami. But here's a Monday morning update from transfer and college football reporter Pete Nakos from On3 on Fernando Mendoza. Pete says Cal transfer quarterback Fernando Mendoza is in decision mode ahead of the holidays. The top available quarterback in the transfer portal rankings has visited Indiana and Missouri in the last week. Sources have repeatedly told On3 that Georgia and UCLA are also viewed as contenders. Then he writes, Miami is Mendoza's hometown, but the Hurricanes are not expected to be in the mix for the quarterback. So right now, Bruce, I know people have speculated Mendoza to Miami, but you heard that report. A number of schools listed to be in the mix, including Georgia, UCLA, Indiana, and Missouri. Miami not mentioned as one of those. So I have no concrete reason to expect Miami is actually making a run at Mendoza, unless they're keeping it so quiet, which I don't know, maybe that's possible with the way Mario runs this operation, but nothing concrete is linking Mendoza to Miami.
Look, I think the kid wants to start, and he wants to play in. He's in the ACC now, but that team's just average at best. I think he wants to go and play in the conference. Maybe Missouri would be a good spot. It's the SEC, but Indiana, they had their run. I think they lose a lot of players. I don't know if he would go there. They're not beating any of the real top teams. So maybe Missouri is a place he can go. But I don't think he's going to Miami, and he's not going to beat out Emory Williams. I don't care. And if he does beat him out, Emory's gone. I don't think they want to do that. I just think I think Mario has his mind made up. But as I said a few minutes ago, they need a quarterback that's willing to come in and sit on the bench. I don't think Mendoza wants to come and sit on the bench and be a backup. I don't know. They may wind up having they can get a backup quarterback from a major school, but why would you go from one major school and be a backup to another one just to go to Miami? So, I don't know. But if they don't get anybody, they're going with a very, very youthful quarterback room.
Yeah.
That's not good. Because if he gets hurt, you got Judd Anderson, no snaps ever, right?
Nope.
And Luke Nickel, not even on the campus yet. So I think they're going to go after somebody. It might not be anybody we know. Maybe not a name guy, but a guy like Puffenbarger, who's he didn't play much, but at least you have some steady backup that has taken snaps before in college football. That's what I think he's going to do. I do want to mention, you mentioned it, that SMU and Clemson crapped out in the playoffs. And how many games has Clemson lost now? 4?
4.
Yeah, that's great. We have a 2-loss team with the most exciting player in the nation, and we don't make it. But you know what? We blew a 21-0 lead. And I don't know what else to say about that. 21-0 because he's doing his job and everybody looked good. And then the bottom dropped out. And I haven't heard anything more, and maybe you have, about Guidry. I don't know. And if he stays, wow, he's going to have a lot on his plate. He better, because they have a rough start. Who do they play? Notre Dame, Florida, the first 4 games?
Those are, within the first 3 games. I'm not sure what the second game is going to be. I think, like a lesser opponent, but week 1, Notre Dame, week 3 is Florida. So, and that's one of those things. I talked about this the other day, Bruce, on the podcast, that I wouldn't, as much as we talk about Emory having the edge out of the 3 quarterbacks in the room, I wouldn't completely rule out Luke Nickel in year 1 because I think he's that dynamic. However, the idea of starting a true freshman at quarterback when you've got 2 games like that within your first 3 weeks, that makes it a little bit more daunting. Like if Miami had like FAMU and Bethune-Cookman the first couple games, it'd be kind of easier to maybe let a true freshman quarterback get those starts. But when you've got Notre Dame, who's looking really good in the playoffs week 1, and then Florida a couple weeks later, that would be a gauntlet for a guy with no experience.
They're not going to let that happen. If he walks in and he becomes the starter, you could bet Emory's going to pout. He's not going to want to be here. He's not going to be happy. So they're going to give him.
I don't know if he would. I give him a little more credit than that. I think
maybe I would pout if I was him. How's that?
that works.
But I just don't see it, because if that happens, he's not going to regain that starting job unless the kid gets hurt. Yeah. So you know what? Maybe he won't pout, but he'll call his parents and say, "Get me the hell out of here." I just don't see that. I think Mario's going to ride with him. Look what he did, the year before last, when he played really good in those games that he got in, and they won one and could have maybe beaten Florida State on the road. So I think they're going to go with him. I think Nickel has to beat out Judd Anderson. He hasn't taken a snap either. Let him get used to being in college. Let's see what he does. We'll see. But we lost a tight end that we shouldn't have lost in Ryan.
I know.
That doesn't help at all. So now we got Lofton, who's very good, but he didn't get much action, but he'll be in there now. And I just think that I'm not worried about the offense. I think we'll still score 30, 35 points a game, maybe not 40 like I had predicted, but I think the defense has got to get shored up. They got to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to fix this, and a lot of prep in the offseason. They'll probably wind up having to play some zone. They could mix it up. You don't have to play the same way all the time. It becomes too predictable. And one of the things that I didn't really think, I thought they were going to blitz more. They blitzed very little. They tried to keep people back in the backfield in the secondary, and that didn't work either, because the secondary got picked apart. So they have a lot of work to do this offseason, especially on defense. When we talked about moving Bain to the inside and Messidor to the outside where he wants to be, they should do that. And I think they will do that. And then we'll see what happens with the D tackles, and we'll go from there. But I think our defense will be a work in progress. Unfortunately, the progress starts with Notre Dame, and then a couple of weeks later, we're playing the Gators down here, who are looking really good.
Yeah, amen to that. And I agree with putting most of your personnel NIL money into the defense, because listen, I mean, you just had the top quarterback in college football, and you still couldn't win enough games, primarily because your defense let you down. So I think that's the area you should focus on first and foremost. When I spoke to you the other day, Truth Teller, on the phone, and you were. And you have the feeling that a lot of college football fans have these days. You were ranting a little bit about this era with the transfer portal and with NIL being such a factor, that it's like, you can't get attached to players anymore. Like, you don't know. Like, you recruit guys out of high school, you're excited about them. You don't know if they're gonna be on the team a year or two down the road. You know, you don't know if you're gonna be recruiting over guys in the portal. And this is not a Miami specific problem. This is happening all over the country. I mean, hell, even Dabo Sweeney has started taking transfer players now, Bruce. I mean, there are no holdouts left. Every coach, including Dabo, has started to use the transfer portal now.
Yeah, I think we're upset because we lose Zay Horton, and he goes to a team that we're pretty sure tampered with him before. You know, they were supposed to, but it is what it is. Yeah. That stinks when a kid like that who developed so well this year under Kevin Beard, and now he's going over there. Wow. Is their quarterback going to leave? Is Milroe leaving? I keep seeing his name in the draft.
No, I think he's staying. I think he already said he was staying, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if that's the case, then I guess going there he'll be okay. But I don't really care about it. I don't like Alabama anyway. It's funny how Alabama. They had 3 losses. They get in. Clemson now has 4 losses after the playoffs.
Oh, no, Alabama didn't get in though. They fell short. They
didn't get in. That's what
they were ranked ahead of us, but they didn't get in because
we didn't get
SMU
in.
got in. Yeah,
we didn't get in. You know, they were going to take 3-loss Alabama over 2-loss Miami. Why? Because they're Alabama. They looked pretty bad against Oklahoma. They were destroyed. Anyway, there's a couple of guys. I'm asking you this because it's not on our list to talk about. Who on our roster do you want to see really step up like Horton did?
So I want to see. You know who I'd like to
Lofton
see?
Would be one.
Lofton, yeah, and also I'm assuming Jackson Carver is going to stay at tight end. We haven't talked a whole lot about him. He's really tall. Good, should be a good natural receiver. You would think there's going to be opportunities now in that tight end room. I would like to see Carver really step up.
And he's going to have to gain weight like Riley Williams did.
Yeah,
Carver's going to have to get up to like 240 because he was.
I think we're going to see a lot more on the edge from Malik Bryant next year. We saw in kind of a limited sample size, we saw some really good stuff from Malik Bryant this year. So that's one that I really want to see step up. Some other guys we talked about earlier. I want to see Armando Blunt and Artavius Jones get more opportunities, make the most of those on the defensive line. Joshua Horton, we don't talk about him a whole lot. I want to see him.
Hasn't been much to say about him.
No, so I want to see him. I want to see him get more work and make some more noise next year. And one you and I have talked about a lot at receiver, Shamar Kirk, who's got another year of eligibility. We didn't see hardly any of him this year. There's so many young receivers we're really excited about, but Kirk is going to be an experienced guy in that room. I want to see him have a big year coming up.
I think we're going to go to like a 4 or 5 man rotation rather than the 3 guys that we saw all year. Every once in a while, somebody got in. I still don't know where Ray's going to be. I think JoJo's going to play a lot. Yeah. I think Chance will play a lot, and I still think they like Carr. Carr has got to play more. He didn't play even in the garbage games, which there weren't that many. He hardly played, but he's really good. I mean, he was a real high recruit. He's a guy that could make great catches, either down the field or like Restrepo, finding seams in the defense. But they have to play. But one of the things that I'm excited about is that these guys that we're talking about all practice with Emory Williams with the second unit most of the year. So he's got a connection with these guys. And that's what I think is important. That's why that may be part of the edge. Not only Emory's talent and his accuracy, which is phenomenal, but his familiarity with these guys. He knows them, all of them. So that's who runs with him on the second team.
That's a tremendous point. Well, when we come back, a couple of really good distinctions for how quality, not a lot of quantity yet, but how quality Miami's transfer portal additions are. Plus, 3 members of Miami's incoming class of 2025, the new signees, 3 of them have earned tremendous honors. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. We're not done yet with Rocket Money. Guys, I'm so excited that they're with us. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future and my family's future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thank you for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We have the Truth Teller with us here on a Truth Teller Monday. So, Bruce, Miami's 4 transfer portal additions so far. All of them are 4-star players and probable starters this coming year, which I think is important. And they should all be here in January. Wide receiver C.J. Daniels, safety Zechariah Poyser, defensive tackle David Blay, and cornerback Charles Brantley. And Miami actually has the top portal class so far by average of the quality of player at a 90.5, according to 24/7 Sports. So far, it's been quality, not so much quantity. There's still a few more additions I think they need to make, but when it comes to finding top players, Cristobal has done a good job of that so far.
Yeah, so far he's identified the need, obviously. And don't forget, we're hoping that Brown comes back and actually is real healthy and stays the whole season healthy. You know, health is also important. We were very lucky the last couple of years. We didn't have a lot of big injuries. You know, you could afford an injury maybe in the backfield or one of the slot receivers or something like that. We need to generate more firepower on our kickoff and punt returns. Not pointing fingers at anybody, but there has to be a better way for us to make some cheap yards. We didn't do it. We've been notorious for having great return guys throughout the history of this program the last 40 years, but it hasn't happened. It's been very quiet the last few years. Block punts, very quiet. The special teams, I mean, the kicker and the punters are good, but the rest of the stuff that you could make up yards and you can get cheap scores and cheap field position, we have not been good at all. So that's something that I'm hoping improves. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Are you excited about the bowl game or not really?
I am. I'm actually excited to see Cam Ward one last time.
And everybody's saying the same thing. Okay.
Cristobal confirmed this morning on WQAM that Ward is going to play. And I know, like, how many times do we have to confirm it? Because Ward has said it 100 times. He's playing. Cristobal confirmed it again today. I'm excited at the opportunity to win 11 games. Miami hasn't done that since 2000 and what was it, 2003? The last
3 or 4, yeah, right. 3.
Yeah, it's been 21 years since they won 11 games. They haven't won a bowl game since 2016. And listen, you know, I know Ward, who's a guy about to be drafted, is going to play. I'm sure some of the other, you know, potential draftees will probably not play. We're not sure about Restrepo, Jalen Rivers, for example. But Bruce, I'm excited to see some of these young receivers play because we're kind of get a combination of like a thank you for this year with Cam Ward and a look ahead to next year with some of these younger guys.
And you're saying that Martinez is probably going to play, right?
Oh yeah, he's opted in. Yeah, Martinez.
And he doesn't know if he's leaving or not, but I have a gut feeling he's coming back.
Ooh, see, I have a gut feeling he leaves, but I like yours better.
I mean, what did he do this year that really would? He had some tough runs. He ran people over.
Yeah.
But I don't think they like that hesitation at the line of scrimmage type of stuff. That doesn't fly in the NFL.
I think I think he had such a good second half of the year that I think I think it probably, and again, I hope you're right that he comes back next year, but I think he did enough in the second half of the season that he's more than draftable at this point, Martinez.
Yeah, I know, but if he does what he did in the second half all year next year, or a good portion of that, along with Fletcher, you know, Mark's not, I don't know if he would leave after next year. He could. I mean, he could, but right now, I just worry about getting this roster together. Oh, sorry. What? Getting the roster together. I'm in the cafeteria. In case you guys don't know, my wife is having jaw surgery, so
God bless her. I hope everything goes well.
I hope so too. She'll be crying her eyes out. And so I just want them to shore up this roster, go into spring ball, and no, there's not going to be Cam Ward. We're losing a lot of people that have been here for several years, but I want to see them put it. I want to see the defense be like in your face and aggressive, and they're too passive and they get pushed around way too much. You know, third and short is pretty. It's still very achievable against this defense. I just still don't think they're big enough. I think they need even bigger bodies in there. I don't want to see these 6'3", 280-pound guys. That's not big enough anymore. 6'4", 310, 320. Those are the guys that are playing at the other schools. And you can afford to have slimmer defensive ends. But I don't think we're stout enough at the point of attack. That's why I like Moten. I like this kid Blight that's coming in here. Those are big run stuffing, but they can get up the field type of guys. So, look, am I excited about the bowl? I guess so. I want to see us win. I'm tired of losing. I am. And then I hope we get a few more people to come in here, but I don't want to lose any more people.
Yeah.
You know, to lose Horton and then
Riley Williams
for no reason. I guess he wants to go home.
Yeah.
And you can't fault him for that. But he was, here's the kid that's leaving tight end U with one kid who's leaving probably now Arroyo to be drafted. And if he has a fabulous year this year, he could bolt too if he wants to. I think he's going maybe a little too premature. And he knows that the quarterback's going to use the tight end.
Yeah.
But that's his call. I don't really know. I'm excited about that. And then, of course, another couple of months, we go down, you come down with me, and we go into the facility, and we get to watch practice.
I can't wait. Well, here's something I want to say about a few of Miami's 2025 signees, the freshmen that are coming in. And I know, overall, people were not as excited about this year's recruiting class because this one was top 15, coming off of top 5 and top 10 type of classes. But some of the quality Miami's getting here is incredible. So Malachi Toney was just crowned this week Mr. Florida football, top player in the state, which is a huge honor for the incoming Miami receiver. He can also play some quarterback if you're really in a pinch.
Yep. I mean, he just too.
Yeah, he went through the state playoffs playing emergency quarterback and doing a heck of a job for American Heritage. So Malachi Toney crowned Mr. Florida football. Luke Nickel crowned Mr. Georgia football. And this one's really impressive. So S.J. Alofaituli was named Nevada Gatorade Player of the Year, which is the equivalent of Mr. Nevada. But how impressive. An interior offensive lineman is named Player of the Year in that state. You don't see that a lot, Bruce.
He's a guard, right? Is he projected to play guard here too?
Most likely, guard or center. He can play either.
Or center, right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're a long way off. I complained when I did the last show about how it ended. I wasn't thrilled with that. Obviously, I'm still not thrilled about how we ended this, especially watching the playoff games. Those were blowouts. Yeah. I don't know if we would have gotten blown out, but we certainly would have put up some points and made it look better.
Exactly.
And how do you keep a kid like that out of it? But they did, and we choked, and we get it. Maybe the word's not choke, but we blew a 21-0 lead. Yeah. And all we had to do is to stop them a few times, but I don't even know if we did. We're a long way off, though. We're a long way off. And this portal business is scary because somebody could just snatch up your guy in 2 seconds that you think you've got. We lost a guy like that, didn't we? Recently, the kid was flirting with us. It was with us, and then he decides he's playing us against somebody else. What was that kid's name? Another DB or something?
Oh, right? Was it? Were you talking about the defensive tackle from Kentucky? I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
No, a recruit, a high school recruit.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he just played us against somebody else, and UCF maybe, and then he goes there, and we're out. And all the recruiting Mario did to this kid was for naught.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like, and I don't like this, I don't like Alabama. I never did. But look, at least the playoffs is happening. We have things to watch now and not just sit around. I don't know what happens to the rest of those bowl games. No one's going to care after you've got all these teams in a playoff like that. But Look, I'm optimistic. I like Riley Williams. I like who we've got. I just hope that the coaching staff does what they're supposed to do, and they really work these kids, and they develop a defense that's solid, that's aggressive, that attacks people, and they're not laying on their heels all the time. You can't play like that. You can't play afraid.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what they did. And then when you look at the Syracuse game, the kid sitting in the pocket, picking us apart, you got to do something different. But they didn't. They didn't. The one time that they did what I said was run up the middle, they got the quarterback, or they almost got him. And you got to play like that. You've got to mix up your coverages, but you've got to put pressure on the quarterback. Look at Ohio State. Look what they did. And look at who else played there yesterday? Clemson got smoked by Texas. Texas' defense is very good. That's what I mean by having big. Those guys are big and they're rough. That's what I mean. That's a national title type of team. They're big, and they're fast too. They're linemen.
Well, and a lot of these teams that won in the first round of the playoff have really dominant running games. So that, Miami's probably going to take more of that approach next year, you would assume, since Cam Ward's not going to be your quarterback. It's going to be run heavier. So hopefully that leads to success. But yeah, Bruce, I wanted to say we're all thinking of your wife who's in surgery right now for her jaw. God bless you and her, and we hope everything goes well, Bruce.
Thank you. And I wish everybody, all the listeners, all the people that write us positive and negative comments, those of you who are still allowed to comment,
those of you who have not been banned,
happy and a healthy New Year's, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Hanukkah, as Jews say it, Hanukkah, and happy holidays to you and your family. It's been a real pleasure doing the show with you.
Same to you, man. It's always a pleasure having the truth teller. And thank you so much for everything you've provided, all the great times. We'll talk to everyone again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. Maybe we'll do something tomorrow. Maybe we won't. It's almost Christmas. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll talk to you guys next time on another episode. Right?
That guy comes down the chimney. How does he fit?
I never understood.
That, right?
It's magic. He sprays the chimney with Pam, and then he just kind of slides down.
Okay, I got it. All right. Happy holidays, everybody, all you people.
We'll see you all next time right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.